Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the Farts and Crap Show, and if this is your first time here, how you doing? I'm your host, Andrew McCraps, and today we are going to be looking at this guy, the Super Nintendo style controller for the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, as well as the Wii and Wii U, because it has the same kind of connector. You can use it as a classic controller on there, and this thing is great because it looks and feels like a Super Nintendo controller until you try to use it. Now, a lot of people do not like this thing because the insides are actually quite different. They seem to have cut costs here a little bit, and it feels kind of loose. So I'm going to address how you can fix that for very cheap, and potentially why you would want to do that, other options you might be looking at, and how you can do this. So I don't have a great video camera, but I did try to take some really good pictures along the way to distinctly show the steps. So let's go ahead and take a look. So this is the controller. Once you open it up, it is 5 Phillips head screws on the back. Just take those out, and then you can take the shell apart. You will see the conductive rubber pads, which are on the left side there, which are directly under the ABXY buttons, and on the right side, which is directly under the D-pad. Now basically what I did is I'm using Loctite Fun Tack, which is more commonly referred to as poster tack, and placing little balls under each button and under the middle of D-pad. Now, an idea I had after doing this fix is I could potentially glue the flat parts of the D-pad on the corners, so the diagonal between the top and the right and the down and the left, to the conductive rubber portion, so those two would act as one piece. I haven't tried this yet, so I will let you guys know if it might render this controller completely useless, but it might work better than what I did. So there's already a little plastic raised ball portion in the middle of the D-pad, but you can push the whole thing down and kind of like it slides around and stuff. So to keep it from sliding and to make better connection and more distinct cardinal directions, that was basically my engineering brain going, okay, we'll add a little bit more material that's a little pliable on the middle under the D-pad. Now the ball sizes I used are actually too big, so I will show what they should look like later on. I also destroyed 4 controllers for their D-pad conductive rubber, and none of them were the same style that this controller uses. This controller doesn't even use a standard Super Nintendo style conductive rubber set, so I could not actually find a replacement on the internet anywhere. So yeah, that's why I didn't go that route. So here is the flattened poster tack balls that were too big. Now when they are the right size, they should be flush or just under the level where the outside ring of the button plastic is. So here is with the poster tack balls still too large, as I put the conductive rubber back on in an attempt to reassemble the controller. Don't do this, it won't work at all. So after unassembling the controller again, you can see the the poster tack balls with the imprints of the conductive rubber on them, and it's just too much material. Fortunately, since it is poster tack, you can pretty easily take it off of the button plastic without really any residue, which is really fantastic. Now this is with the poster tack balls reduced in size by about 50%, so roughly a little under half a centimeter, I would say, for each one. And as you can see, they are flush, just below the line of the button plastic as they sit in their housings. Now on the D-pad poster tack ball, I did make it a little bit too small, so I probably should have reduced it by like 30 or 40%. But as with the front-facing buttons, and actually also with the D-pad conductive rubber, it's not very snappy. So one potential fix you could do is like if it was colder, I guess, and if it was more stiff, if you could make, I don't know how you would do this, but if you could make the rubber more stiff, it could actually like completely fix the problem. But they used a very thin method, and they didn't really use much of any ridging, which I found to be true with the other controllers I destroyed that I just don't use anymore. And some of the buttons that I did like, I found they used like different ridges, so the felt a bit snappier. And actually the shoulder buttons, which sound much better, you can tell just audibly, they do use the ridging. So let's go to the next one. As you can see, this is after I reduced the size of the poster tack balls by about 50%. The PCB motherboard did fit very easily under the like before I had to like mash it down in order for the plastic poles to be like above the board. So when you reassemble it, it actually like fits together. And you can actually see, yeah, because I didn't put the plastic of the shoulder buttons back on quite yet because I wanted to show that, yeah. So that is what the conductive rubber portions look like on the shoulder buttons, and that design is much better. I wish they used that for the front-facing buttons as well, but you know, whatever. The other thing I wanted to mention about this part is when you're putting the cable back through the poles like that, make sure you're not pulling it tight. Give it some give, because in case you do yank it, you don't want to actually like damage any of the connections. Okay, and this is the controller reassembled actually. So it is time to go to the games and talk about specific case uses and why you would do this in the first place. Okay, so I got my Wii fired up here. And actually this is my Wii U. JK, it's the Wii U. I'm gonna have to turn it way down because navigating the menus for whatever reason are way louder than the games and the menu music, so it's kind of strange. But yeah, so I'm you can actually shift pages. I didn't know this for like a couple years till after I had, you know, was playing around with my Wii a lot, but you can actually use start and select to shift pages, as well as L and R. They do the same thing on the menu, which is kind of weird. Now you may be saying, well, Danjo, can't you just use a Wii remote like tilted to the side for these games? Sometimes, for NES games, yeah, but if you need more buttons, or if you just want to play a Super Nintendo game, like A Link to the Past, Super Metroid, or Super Mario World, and you want it to feel authentic, you know, you might just want that Super Nintendo controller in your hands, you know? And also, since this is kind of running the Wii operating system in the Wii U, you can't connect a Pro controller right now, so that option is off the table too. And the first-party Nintendo Classic controllers have been out of production for a long time, so finding a new one is typically going to cost you like $80-ish last time I checked on Amazon and eBay. So yeah, that's pretty much off the table too. So for me specifically, I wanted this so I can enjoy these games with a good controller, because right now I don't have a good classic controller for these kind of things. Now for Super Nintendo, I could just use the PDP Fight Pad for Wii U, which they made a bunch of great character designs. It's a GameCube style controller, so it works really well for Smash. And it's just a high quality controller. You can find those new for easily like between $15 and $20. So I would highly recommend one of those. If you basically just need something for N64 games. For Star Fox, it's a dream. It's so good. Or even for isometric games like Zelda or Secret of Mana. Yeah, it still works very well. But if you're playing a 2D style game, like Castlevania, Mario, that sort of thing, or one of my personal favorites, the Mario All-Stars 25th Anniversary Collection, or the Kirby Collection for the Wii, you might want to use one of these kind of pads with a really good, that traditional D-pad, you know? So I'm going to have to turn it back up because these games are quiet. And I'm going to fire up Mario 3 because that's the one I'm most familiar with. Here's the A button, B button, Y button, X button. I forgot Y and X are quit. And here's the D-pad. Right, left, down, up. Now, some of those are kind of loud because I can still slide it around, unfortunately. I didn't make the poster trackball big enough, and I think doing the glue method might work better, where I actually just glue the bottom of the D-pad to the conductive rubber, and so they act as one, and the D-pad won't slide around. It might be much better, but I'll let you guys know in a future video if that actually worked or not. But just to show that, you know, it actually does work on here. But yeah, the All-Stars versions of these games I adore. I think these are very welcome upgrades to the first, well, I'd say 3, but actually 4 Mario games, since Japan had Mario 2. But to us that was Lost Levels. So there's 2 Mario 2s, basically. And Lost Levels is no joke. It's very difficult. It's a very well-designed game, but it's very hard. But yeah, as you can see, I'll put the controller closer to the microphone. It works very well. Now, for other, sorry about that, for other style of games, you might need more inputs, like if you need analog sticks or something like that. And I do intend on eventually picking up a Wii Classic controller to compare how it feels compared to an optimized controller like this. Just for the sake of comparison. And also, like, I'm not 100% happy with this mod. Like, it helps, but it's still not a great feeling controller. And the main problem I have with this is the D-pad. just the actual components don't feel like very quality materials. Which, yeah, I know, it's OEM Nintendo, but when Nintendo cuts costs, oh my goodness, there's a star over there. That would have been so useful. I was like, there's gotta be something. Because, like, usually when there are levels like this in Mario games, like, usually there's there's some kind of power-up hidden to help you out, you know? But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this video. Let me know, because this is a new format, like, we don't usually use a, oh, I'm supposed to hit it from the other side. Yeah, we don't usually use a video intro, so that's new. Let me know what you guys think there. And I don't really have a name for this show yet. This series, I guess. It's probably going to be, like, Tools for the Game or something like that. There we go. Oh, that also becomes a star. I forgot it works like that in this game. So sometimes power-up boxes are only coins unless you already have a star. Then it's a star. I forgot that can happen. Look at me, like, learning stupid shit. Uh-oh. There we go. But yeah, just, I will get to all the comments. I try to respond to every single one. Depending on how well this video does, you know, that might be a bit of an undertaking, but I do intend to get to every single one. Especially since this is the first... I'm not familiar with that boat at all. I don't know what's going on with that. Of course, I'm, like I said, most familiar with 3. I'm not very familiar with any of the NES Mario games, so... Like, I've never even played this game, like, all the way through. I've always used warp whistles to get to the last world and beat Bowser and all that. But this is my game file where I am not going to do that. Also, you don't get save states on the Wii, which kind of sucks, but yeah, I'll let you guys know how the glue thing works out. And I think that's about it. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. Many thanks for stopping in, and many blessings on your journey. Until next time.